to order. I want to thank you for your presence and thank you for your interest in our airport and in our community and in our nation. Let's please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by Louis Oligosabo. Lou, thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Lou. Okay, meanwhile, back at the agenda, the meeting, I believe the last meeting was March the 1st. Yes. The minutes for the March 18 meeting are at attachment 3. If you haven't had the opportunity to review them, please give a quick scan, and I'll stand by for approval or modification. Thank you.
I'd make motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that the minutes of March 18 be accepted. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The minutes are approved. Thank you. The first airport report is going to be on taxiway reconfiguration, and I think one of our fine, talented young assistants is going to
Mr. Chair,
the
first we have
presentation.
public comments. Sorry.
thank you.
We have public comments first,
I think we need to open to public comment initially, Mr.
I'm
Chairman.
sorry. Let me back up and get to public comments. I'm sorry. This is a public meeting by law and statute of Texas and federal government. If you have any comments, please come forward to this microphone right here in front of you. If you're representing yourself, so state. If you're representing a company or organization, please define that. We welcome any comments, and we'll give you what time you reasonably would like. Thank you. Are there any public comments? Well, since the preamble was much longer than the public comments, we'll proceed right along. Okay, now we'll get to the meat of the subject. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman. Mitch Sprunger, Deputy Airport Director. Just giving you a brief overview of how our taxiway reconfiguration project has progressed. As you can see on the chart here, we are about 147 days into the project. About 70% of the time has been used. And as far as funding, we've paid a little bit over $2 million to the contractor, with 64% of the money spent. Moving on, just kind of a little bit of overview of what's been completed thus far. Taxiway Charlie and Echo, the asphalt has been poured. As you can see on this picture here, Charlie is completed. We have markings, new paved shoulders, new signage on this taxiway. So this is open for public use. Taxiway Bravo, north of 927, adjacent to this taxiway, is back open. So this area is essentially back to normal operation. Here's just a shot taxiing into Taxiway Charlie, as you can see, all new markings. You also kind of see a little, that wide area is concrete. There's a drain line underneath that. Moving along here, we've essentially entered into the second phase of the project. What you're looking at is the trench along our ramp. That is about 4 feet wide, 2 feet deep, and we're removing the asphalt that is beginning to fail. So all that area has been trenched essentially between Foxtrot and Taxiway Delta, and we're beginning the re-pour with new concrete. While that's going on, they're finishing up some electrical work on Taxiway Echo. And as you can see, the barricades on the right side of that picture there, we've displaced Taxiway Bravo further to the west just to keep aircraft out of the way of the construction. And this is just a schematic that's been prepared for the FAA, so you can see the diagram changes. The red indicating Taxiway Charlie there has been removed. The old Taxiway Echo has been removed. Here's the new Charlie, if I can draw with this thing. New Taxiway Echo right here. So in addition to that, you also see these red marks. While we have these portions of Taxiway Bravo closed, we will begin installing the new lighting for these ramp islands that the FAA is requiring. So we'll finish that during this phase. And then we'll move further north. Once this portion right here has been completed, we'll move further north and displace Taxiway Bravo, basically closer to the airline ramp area. And that should happen, it's scheduled to, in mid-June. Any questions you have, I'm happy to answer. No questions? Okay. Moving on, just talk a little bit about our FY19 budget. That was, I'm sorry.
Mr. Chair, can you read the
That
next?
was a good
Second.
presentation. Thank you. Now,
Getting ahead of myself.
Lou, are you going to talk on the budget or?
No, Mitch is doing,
Pardon?
Mitch will be doing the budget
Okay.
too.
Well, please continue.
All right. So just an overview of our FY19 budget that was recently submitted to our finance department. Just an overview there of our FY18 budget. And this is the proposed FY19 budget. As you can see here, we do have an increase relative to FY18 in revenues. This is primarily due to the change in our rates and charges. And then also you do see an increase in PFCs, and this is primarily due to our projections based on this FY18 on what we've received for PFCs this year. Here are my little lines here. So here's a, I'm not going to go line by line just for time reasons, and you guys can see it, but our revenues, I think the main points of emphasis, if you look at them here, kind of highlights some of them. Biggest increases you're going to see are leases and rentals, gasoline concessions, landing fees, and car rentals. Again, primarily due to the rates and charges increase. You'll also see down here at miscellaneous, that's a significant increase. That's primarily due to the new charter rates and charges that are submitted. So we're getting increased revenue from these casino charter flights. Also, yes, down here as well, if you look at rent, you do see a decrease, nearly $70,000. That's primarily from the amount of ERJs we have parked on our ramp. I mean, we went from 50 some odd ERJs on our ramp, and now I believe we're down to 8.
Also, the American Airlines aircraft that had been stored at the airport, we're down to 8.
Correct, yeah. So we did lose some revenue there, but we did make up for it for rates and charges as well as the casino charter flights.
And
Okay,
just
Mitch.
as in the past 11 years, we're submitting a balanced budget to City Council.
Moving on to expenditures, For the most part, these haven't changed too much. I think the biggest change you're going to see here is full-time salaries. We budgeted this number simply based on the potential percentage increase if council approves it later this year for city employees. Here's my line again. Moving to this expenditure page, I think probably the biggest changes you're going to see are these right here. With the increased revenue, I mean, these are good expenditure budgets to increase. Just general maintenance and building grounds maintenance are good accounts to add revenue to for expenses.
And insurance liability and catastrophe insurance coverage went up.
Oh, that is true. Thank you, Lou. And that's based on numbers from the risk management department at City Hall.
It is.
Going through these numbers here, I don't see significant changes, so I'll let you scroll through those.
If there are ever any questions, please jump in and we'll clarify
Absolutely.
as we go along. Go
The,
ahead, Mitch.
I'm sorry, Charlie. The increase on the insurance, what do you attribute that to?
Past storms, past damages, and insurance claims that the airport has had in the past 2 to 3 years.
Okay,
We've had a lot of flooding, and again, we had flooding just a few weeks ago.
right. So there's a chance down the road that may mitigate itself, and if we can
I
keep
sure
from
hope so.
shoving losses, we can.
Yes, I sure hope so.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, we would hope so. We've had several roofs that have been replaced at the airport with insurance funds as well.
Right, right,
Hailstorms, flooding, heavy rains,
right.
et cetera.
Well, and I don't even know if there were claims filed on the doors that were damaged on the T-hangers during the windstorms.
They were.
They were.
They were.
Yes, sir.
We have a detailed line item to our city council. If you'd like to see that, we'll be happy to send those to you. But again, this is proposed. It won't become effective until September when city council approves it. We still have city managers review and budget office review. That's going to be in the middle of June for me, and then we'll have city council review sometime in August.
And then going through the last page of expenditures here, pointed out the key differences there. You see a decrease in our expenditures for our gasoline budget, and that's, again, solely based on the amount of fuel we've used this year. We decided to decrease that account. Increase the money for concessions. It's looking like this next fiscal year we'll be placing a vending machine upstairs inside the concourse. So increased expenditure there. And then also vehicles. We most likely will be replacing
one vehicle.
our Mercury Mountaineer and hopefully getting a new SUV. So that's why that's there. Any questions you may have, I'm happy to answer.
Good job, Mitch.
Thank you.
From Mayor Service Committee.
This item was requested at our last board meeting by
sorry?
Board Member Pritchard. Unfortunately, he's not here today. I just have a verbal report. This committee was an ad hoc committee created by City Council last May actually, a year ago, when American Airlines decided to replace their 50-seat aircraft with 70-seat aircraft. And because of that change, we dropped the number of flights from 4 to 3. Due to that, City Council, 2 council members asked for a committee, and we set up, or a meeting, we set up a committee of business folks. We had Fred Key from the board on that committee also, and Costa DC, the Chamber, Time Clock Plus, several others. Randy Brooks, they were all interested. So it was an ad hoc committee. They do not meet regularly. Last time we met was in October of last year, after American decided to switch back from 3 flights to 4 flights and then 5 flights back to 4 flights. So we haven't had a meeting since last fall. But at the last meeting, the mayor asked that we start, the Costa DC Fund, help us fund a marketing campaign, and we did a marketing campaign through McLaughlin Advertising for 1 year. And I just passed out a little earlier the report from McLaughlin to Costa DC on the output from that advertising. And you can probably still watch it. I know it's in the 6 o'clock news on KLST in the mornings, and sometimes at 10 o'clock on KSAN, but it's throughout. Again, the report that you have shows all the radio advertising, the TV advertising, the media, the social media, just about everything to hit. And the purpose is to help the community or inform the community to fly local, push that fly local, because our biggest problem with air service is leakage to other airports, and we will not gain additional service unless we improve our local numbers. And I'll go through that in a little bit just to show you how our employments are, but that's the push for the advertising.
Lou? Yes, sir. How many people did you say are on this committee?
There were 10. I think we have 11 right now.
With a chamber rep too?
Yes. Yeah, we have Michael Looney and now Bruce Pertain. But
They're
before it was
still
10.
organized and operating?
The committee?
Yeah.
Yes, but it's an ad hoc. We don't meet regularly, and it was it's not a standard city board. It's just a committee that was put together by the request of City Council.
So there's been nothing new on potential other airlines?
No, sir.
Okay.
No.
Thank you.
And the main focus at that time last year was this pleasure of some folks in town at American Airlines due to switching from 4 flights a day to 3 flights a day. We basically kept the same number of seats per day. However, we got larger aircraft with first-class service, less frequency, but we're back to regional jets, 50-seaters at 4. So we've stayed at 200 seats per day, basically.
Thank you, Lou.
Yep. You're welcome.
Okay, item 7 is going to be led by Louis on director's report. Item 8, Item 8, director's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director's report, I'll give you the statistics. We have the final numbers for last year. I just want to compare 2016 versus 2017. Air traffic went up 9%. Fuel flowage, slightly down, let's say flat, only 0.4% decrease. Passengers, a big drop from 16 to 17. We lost 6%. But our load factor went up at 82%, and that's attributed to, I think, that change of 4 flights to 3 flights. Still, same number of seats, but a lot of folks were not pleased with American, so they chose other means. Rental cars still doing good between 16 and 17 with a 3.3%. Statistics for this year, first quarter of 17 versus first quarter of 18, we're doing really good. Air traffic is up 25%. Fuel flowage, again, relatively flat, 1% up. Passengers, though, we've increased 11%. Load factor has stayed the same. And rental car up 16%. We're doing quite well. And I think this is all attributed to the energy rebound of energy travelers. A lot of what I spoke to Avis Rental Car, they were telling me that a lot of folks, instead of flying and staying in Midland, Odessa, they're flying and staying in San Angelo, getting rental cars and traveling to Midland, Odessa due to the cost of hotels and the availability of hotels. And just to compare year to year, between 16 and 17, everybody except Lubbock was hit on a negative side. Remember, we had like 6% decrease. Wichita Falls, 9% decrease in passengers. Abilene, 1%. Midland, 9. 8 for Laredo. McAllen, 9. Amarillo, almost 2%. Corpus Christi, almost 4%. And again, Lubbock was the outlier with a 1.1% increase between 16 and 17. So we were all, Texas airports were all hit between that year. And again, I think I have not seen FAA numbers for the first quarter. They will not report it until much later, but I think everybody's doing about the same, a little bit better this year.
Again, if there's any questions as we go along, just go ahead and interject them, and we'll clean them up as they arrive. Go ahead, Lou.
I have one more topic, and I didn't put it up. The other topic that I have is just yesterday, we opened up our request for qualifications for a planning firm, airport master plan. It's been approved by the FAA. The funding has been approved. We are trying to select a firm right now. We opened up those RFQs yesterday. We received 3 bids. The selection committee will be selecting it next week, and then we'll decide if we need to interview those final 2 companies or not, or final 3, depending, since we only have 3, or if we just select from the proposals. But we need to move along with the request for proposal so we start our master plan as soon as possible. I do need to have a grant approved by, or offered and approved by the FAA before September. They know that we have some lead time in going through the RFQ process, so they're giving me a little bit of time to select a firm. But that's coming up pretty quick. Master plan will be the first project for that, and the mayor's request of looking at an airport business park or industrial park will also be looked at through that process. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Were any of the firms that submitted proposals firms you have worked with in the past? Are any of the firms that submitted proposals firms with which you have worked in the past?
Yes, 2 of them. We have a startup company based here in San Angelo called Centurion Planning and Design. Those are folks that used to work with KSA Engineering and Planning. And we also have KSA Engineering, which has our current engineering 5-year contract, and another firm called Lochner. And the folks that are with Lochner presently used to work at our airport with Garver a few years back. So we do have planners that are familiar with our airport. Again, 2 of those companies, KSA and Centurion, have offices here in San Angelo, Centurion based in San Angelo. Lochner is based out of Dallas.
And who is on your selection committee?
The selection committee consists of myself, Mitch Sprunger, our deputy director, Michael Dane, assistant city manager, and Bob Schneeman, COSA DC coordinator, planning coordinator. I forgot his title, I'm sorry, Bob Schneeman with COSA DC. Sorry, Bob, if you're watching.
No more questions on statistics. We'll go into item 8, which is future agenda items, or item 9. I've been off. Take a arithmetic again. I've been off all the time on these numbers today. I'm glad Lou didn't give me a test. Go ahead, Lou. Is there anyone, we welcome any potential agenda items from the public, from the staff, and from the board. So if anyone has any good ideas, we'd love to hear them.
One item that I do want to bring up, our next, if we go by quarters, our next schedule would be the end of August, but that's usually right before Labor Day. If it's okay with the board, I would like to push it to right after Labor Day, if it's okay with your schedules. Okay.
Well, that's the final item. I'm prepared to adjourn after about a 25-minute meeting unless any questions or comments from the board or the staff. There being none, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you for your presence.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Good work, Lou.
And I will let you know as soon as we have a firm selected for the master plan, I will let you know, because there will be a lot of, like I mentioned before, there will be a lot of public input for the master plan. You guys will be heavily involved in that.
Before you leave, there's one personal thing I'd like to state. First, I want to apologize to the staff and to the board for my absences over the past year. There were a few health considerations there, which are pretty well taken care of. So, but I just wanted to apologize and tell you why. It wasn't lack of interest, it was lack of mobility. So I hope to be a better board member in the future. Thank you. We're adjourned.